Jimmy Kimmel has been muzzled and taken off the air by his network ABC, who are buckling to and trying to appease the Nexstar media conglomerate, who have a lot of affiliates, and they threaten to preempt him at the suggestion of the SEC chair. This is government censorship. This is the Trump administration coming after people who speak out against him.
Part of the reason where Donald Trump had such an impact with young people because he used podcast bros under the auspices of comedians to say they were tired of this woke thing, they were tired of this politically correct thing. And he swore that he would take the government out of it. And they voted for him. And they brought in droves of people to vote for him under this freedom that they say they want.
I think Jimmy shouldn't have been canceled. That was whack. I think Ice took his sidekick. You know, a little Mexican dude. Yeah. He's like, Jimmy, why they cancel us? They got me, Jimmy.
Welcome back to Fry Plantain, your ultimate hub for the wildest, juiciest, and most unfiltered takes in comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Today, we're diving into a story that has shaken late-night TV to its core, the firing of Jimmy Kimmel following a controversial joke in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's dramatic. And yes, it has sparked reactions from some of the sharpest, smartest, and funniest voices in comedy today. D.L. Hughley, Godfrey, Chelsea Handler, and Marc Maron. Now, let's be honest. When the comedy world reacts, it's never just about the joke. It's about timing, context, audience, corporate pressure, social media outrage, and the delicate balancing act between satire and sensitivity. This isn't just one late-night host getting cancelled, it's a microcosm of the challenges comedians face every single day. And when you bring in voices like Hughley, Godfrey, Handler, and Maron, you get a full spectrum of reactions. From old-school wisdom to sharp biting social media commentary to long-form analytical takes that make you think twice about what it means to make people laugh in 2025. D.L. Hughley approaches this moment with the wary perspective of someone who's seen the comedy world evolve, collapse, and rebuild more times than most of us can count. He's the voice reminding everyone that comedians live in a space where context disappears the second someone records a clip and posts it online. Godfrey brings the pragmatic, ironic view, pointing out the double standards, the corporate overreactions, and the performative outrage that so often defines these viral controversies. Chelsea Handler's take is blunt, sharp, and social media ready, a perfect reflection of a comedian who built her career on fearless commentary and isn't afraid to call out the slippery slope of censorship. And Marc Maron, as always, brings the long-form analytical perspective, cataloging precedent and warning about what happens when networks decide one joke is too much. Together, their reactions paint a picture of a comedy world caught between free speech and cancel culture, satire and sensitivity, humor and heartbreak. And for us watching from the outside, it's equal parts fascinating, hilarious, and frustrating. A reminder that late night comedy isn't just entertainment, it's a front line in the battle over what can be said, what can be laughed at, and who gets to decide. So if you want the full breakdown, every angle, every reaction, and what this could mean for the future of late night comedy, make sure to like this video, drop a comment with your thoughts, share it with friends who love chaos, and subscribe to Fry Plantain.
Oh, hi, it's me, Chelsea. I was scheduled to be on Jimmy Kimmel's show tonight. So obviously now I have some free time. And as one of a handful of people who've hosted a late night show, I think it's pretty clear that our First Amendment, which is our right to free speech, is in grave danger. Last week, Brian Kilmeade, I'm not sure how you say his name, sorry, not really sorry, was on Fox and Friends and suggested that homeless people living with mental illnesses who refuse to accept help should be locked up in jail or lethally injected. At one point, he said, just kill them. But somehow he gets to keep his job because he's protected by the First Amendment, but Jimmy Kimmel may not be. It's pretty apparent what's happening in America. I mean, people have always faced backlash for things that they've said. We've just never had the government and government agencies like the FCC leading the charge to silence people before. Well, not since McCarthyism, which is one of the ugliest times in American history. We have to be the one to make our voices heard and not capitulate to being silenced. I know things are scary, but this isn't a time for fear. It's a time for action. Peaceful, nonviolent mobilization and protesting loudly. This is the moment to find your community and speak up before it's too late. I know everyone's tired. I'm tired too, but I'm not tired enough to give away our democracy.
D.L. Hughley approaches the situation like an old school stand-up who remembers every riot and boycott from the comedy circuit's less graceful decades. He treats the drama as both absurd and predictable, pointing out the uneven enforcement of outrage while also reminding people that comedians live in a world where context disappears the moment someone records a clip. The take is equal parts weary and practical. Humor can punch up, punch sideways, and sometimes land like a truck. The remedy rarely fits the injury.
April 2007, Don Imus tells the joke on his radio show and calls the Rutgers girls basketball team nappy-headed hoes. I go on Jay Leno, I guess the next night, and I said they weren't they weren't hoes, but they were nappy-headed. I told a joke and called the firestorm. Civil rights groups were boycotting me. Social activist groups were boycotting me. They were calling venues. They were calling corporations. It was a long time. Even the very people that I had friends who had radio shows, they couldn't bring me on. I was toxic before there was even toxic, but I never apologized and said I never would. I would never apologize for a joke, and nor would I ever malign somebody for telling a joke. I believe the First Amendment is sacrosanct, and I protected it, and I've defended all kinds of things. Never the people, but always their right to say. I defended things that were so deeply repulsive and offensive to me, but I understood that if I can be able to say some things, they should be able to do. I was the very first person to be canceled. I know it was so bad I couldn't get booked. I had to do Dancing with the Stars, but still, I kept my position. I still said the same thing. I remember when we first started to do the radio, Jasmine, who was one of my dearest friends, we worked together for 14 years. She didn't like me at first because of what she thought I believed. But I still stood firm and believed what I believe, and I believe the First Amendment is sacrosanct. A large reason, part of the reason, where Donald Trump had such an impact with young people, because he used podcast bros under the auspices of comedians to say they were tired of this woke thing, they were tired of this politically correct thing. And he swore that he would take the government out of it. And they voted for him. And they brought in droves of people to vote for him under this freedom that they say they want. And now the very thing that they used to say they were afraid of, which is the government, because freedom of speech doesn't mean that people, that groups cannot get offended by something and call people and try to get you fired. That's not an assault by the government. That's not even, that isn't what the First Amendment is about. It is about the government being able to use the levers of power to impact your life.
Godfrey's response lands like the pragmatic cameo he always delivers. A quick, sharp checklist of celebrity double standards that prefers irony over indignation. He scrolls through the celebrity landscape, marking which reactions are performative and which feel sincere, treating the whole thing like a late-night bit that just happened to escape the studio and metastasize into corporate panic. His platform of choice for immediate reaction was social reels, the modern open mic where nuance goes to die and hot takes multiply.
Yo, I just want to tell y'all, Jimmy Kimmel. Yo, I'm in a way, all these talk shows that have been getting canceled, in a way, at least we don't got to worry about doing comedy on their shows no more. So nobody has to feel bad when you go, oh man, he got Kimmel. Hey, at least comments will be like, whew.
Now we can be
Every
friends.
man now we can be friends again. Now we got like mediocre comics can't have an attitude anymore. This is great.
With your dumb 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Idiot.
And now I don't have to bring you up and going, he's been on his third Kimmel. You might have seen him on Kimmel.
And nobody cares.
But I think Kimmel is so wealthy now, he can just do podcasts.
Yeah,
call
but
it a
it's
day.
just fucked up. You
I think Jimmy shouldn't have been canceled. That was whack. Who got Kimmeled? That's the new one. I'm sure Kimmel is worried about his staff. His staff have been working for 30 years. They'd be all right. I think Ice took his sidekick. You know, a little Mexican dude.
Yeah.
He's like, Jimmy, why they cancel us? They got me, Jimmy. Jimmy. Yeah, what's his name? Pedro or whatever. Jimmy.
How lucky was that guy, though?
Oh my God, he is the wealthiest Mexican helper ever.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I know Jimmy. And you know, he probably has an attitude.
Wait there. Let us go.
Marc Maron treats the event like a hostage negotiation between comedy and the powers that be. He warns that removing a satirist from the air over a controversial line is less about one remark and more about chilling a whole room of people who make a living testing boundaries. His tone is alarmed but methodical, the kind of voice that wants to catalog precedent and send a memo to posterity. Maron's reaction is the long-form podcast response applied to a pop culture crisis.
It's happening. Jimmy Kimmel has been muzzled and taken off the air by his network ABC, who are buckling to and trying to appease the Nexstar media conglomerate, who have a lot of affiliates, and they threaten to preempt him at the suggestion of the SEC chair. This is government censorship. This is the Trump administration coming after people who speak out against him. This is the end of it. If you have any concern or belief in real freedom or the Constitution and free speech, this is it. This is the deciding moment. This is what authoritarianism looks like right now. In this country, it's happening. So if you're a free speech warrior or you really talk the talk about protecting free speech, this isn't about saying the R word or the T word or any of that. This is government censorship. This isn't fucking Twitter. This isn't people getting canceled because of a cultural pile-on. This is the United States government silencing voices that they disagree with. FCC Chair Carr put this out. This is his directive. This is the U.S. government. Look, if they can come for Kimmel, they can come for anybody. This is happening. It's time to act. Figure it out. Find a way. Come together. Push back. Because if this goes, it's over. It's over.
What ties these reactions together is less agreement on the specifics and more shared discomfort at a new normal where jokes can trigger corporate exile overnight. Comedians instinctively defend the messy work of satire while also acknowledging that timing, context, and audience matter. The result is a sardonic chorus that reads like a trial run for the next time politics, tragedy, and late night collide, which, if history is any guide, will be sooner rather than later.